Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Unqualified Sports Talk, Episode 1. We're here today with a very special guest, Jared Vanderaa. You might know him as Jared the Mountain Vanderaa. Tell you a little bit about Jared. He's 28 years old, heavyweight fighter for the UFC, just signed a contract recently. Going to be making his debut next Saturday, February the 20th, UFC Fight Night. Jared holds an 11-4 professional record. And he comes in at 6'4", 263 with an 80-inch reach. He's from Richland, Washington, and he's fighting out of California. Welcome, Jared. Welcome to Unqualified Sports Talk.
Hello, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. So the first question that we wanted to ask you to help our audience learn a little bit more about you and prospective fans for you as well is why the mountain? Where'd that come from? What's the story behind that?
That is one of many names. It was just the one at the time my manager thought was the safest. I like growing up. I have had plenty of names. I was always a bigger guy, so I got a lot of them. I got a lot of names, and it varies from where I go. I have, like, some people call me Drago. Some people call me Jared Bear. One of my favorites personally is Big Fuck from my boyfriend. So I mean, there's plenty of names that I know I'm missing like 1,000, but it's just one of the ones where it was a name that one kid was like jumping on me. I was like, damn, it's like climbing a mountain, and it kind of worked out that way.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it was before Game of Thrones blew up, and then because Game of Thrones, oh my god, I can't speak. Because of that, it blew up, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "No, it's beforehand, but we'll take it."
Does Jer Bear, is that what your fiance calls you? Is that where that comes from?
No, I got it from a guy. Well, usually guys that call me Jerry Bear.
Well, Jared Bear, since you're new to the scene, not a lot of people have gotten to watch you fight. Not a lot of people have gotten to see any interviews, know very much about you. So, if you want to give us just like a short summary of just like how you got here. Like, you're in the UFC, you were on the Contender Series, you fought under so many different organizations. So just tell us a little bit about you, about Jared, about yourself.
Let's see. Trying to like summarize this, condense it. So we'll go career-wise because let's start off with the career aspect of it. Started fighting literally 11 years as of this month. I want to say it was the 17th when I walked in the gym and decided to make a career out of it.
Wow.
I could be wrong on the date. It could be the 11th. So
I don't think that's important.
Sometime this month, I decided 11 years ago, I'm like, I'm going to make a career out of this. From there, I trained under Primetime, which was basically a sublet of Team Quest, eventually became Team Quest. I went from Team Quest San Jacinto. Team Quest San Jacinto, I eventually went to Dan Henderson's Athletic Center, trained there. That's my gym timeline. There was a few other gyms but nothing really too substantial. Besides the gym when I lived in Vegas, I worked with Sydney Silva and Ron Bellevue for Muay Thai. Then I moved back down, started working with Team Quest again. Now promotion wise, the first one was I did a lot of amateur fights.
Mm-hmm.
My last amateur fight was King of the Cage. I guess I left a big fucking statement in that fight. He was like ranked like 6th or 7th in the state of California, but for me to go in there and TKO him real quick, a lot of people didn't want to fight me, so I was getting fights turned down left and right.
Wow.
That King of the Cage was like, "Hey, we'll offer you a pro fight if you want to take it." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Might as well.
Yeah, and they're like, he's a professional boxer with like 50 fights. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was expecting a stand-up fight, but he came. In all fairness, he threw 2 or 3 punches. I don't know how many punches he threw, but they were quick. They hit hard, and I was like, "Fuck this." Pushed him against it. I threw an elbow and dropped him. Then sunk in rear naked in like 45 seconds.
Boxers
a-
have no idea how to take it to the ground. You showed what's up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a quick fight, and then after that, I was struggling to find fights. King of the Cage wasn't having enough fights, and so I became my own manager. I started messaging. Eventually, I ran into Steve Orozco from what was it called?
I don't know.
Smash Global. He a week before his fight, he was like, "Yeah," or he had a fight, and I'm like, "Hey, do you need any fighters?" And he was like, "Yeah, my whole card just fell through. Everyone like dipped out, blah blah blah." I'm like, "I'll jump in. I've been training. I'm ready."
And how long was this before the fight took place?
A week.
A week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, "Okay, we got this person for you." I'm like, "All right, down." And so I'm prepping for him, and then the day of weigh-ins, he doesn't show up because he broke his hand.
Oh my.
And they find me a new opponent literally 4 hours before the fight starts. Uh, he was 3-1. I then go to win TKO by breaking his face and orbital socket, like his whole face.
Just broke it, the whole thing.
Yeah. Then they offered me a fight like a couple months later. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. And then immediately after that fight, they're like, hey, we're not gonna have a show for like 6 months to a year. I'm like, damn, it's gonna be a minute.
Yeah, you're not
So
waiting
I was
that long.
training, and I get a call from some of my teammates at Team Quest. They're like, yo, you want to fight tomorrow? I'm like, sure. I take a fight on 24-hour notice, TKO'd that guy. Then I was able to do one more fight with Smash, and then at this time of my life, my fiance was pregnant with my daughter, so it was good to win that fight. Then I couldn't find a fight for another couple months, and it was about almost 9 months because it was like 3 months after my daughter was born. That I was able to get a fight, and at that point it was for the LFA title. It became my first loss. I got caught with fifth round Kimura. Did a turnaround fight against a terrible fighter, but it was kind of one of those to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Then I took another fight with like for about a month notice to fight in South Africa for EFC. I was like, yeah, sure. It was another 5-round fight. It went to a split decision that I lost, but if you ask everybody, my opponent included,
You won
except
that fight.
I won that fight.
Yeah, without the split decision.
Yeah, it was a stupid split decision, but I wasn't begrudging or anything. It was a fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
They liked it so much that I guess I didn't belittle the country. I was like, yeah, it happens, whatever.
Right.
Basically, if you ever want to fight for us again, I'm down. Well, some time passed. I can't find another fight. I'm just like, oh my god, let me fight. LFA was like, hey, we got another fight for you. I'm like, I'll take it on. It's on week notice. I took this fight. And it was in Texas, and Texas made me go through the hoops for medicals.
Why?
But I was able to get my medicals done in under a week, just everything. That one was another decision loss, just me and decisions and LFA. Nothing against the promotion. I just don't do good in LFA.
Yeah.
Then fast forward, EFC had a fallout, and I was like, "Hey, I'll jump on that." And they're like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." Jumped on him, beat him. I beat him TKO. Then I took on Potts 6 weeks after, beat him, and then I had another fight March, beat that guy too, and then I had a fight with Hennon. Fight was I felt like I was winning the first round. I felt like the second round was a toss up until I ran right into his cross. I fell to my ass. He swarmed me. Well, I was very coherent. I was defending the elbows. I was actually attacking back. I threw in 2 arm bars. One of them was close. One of those arm bars were close.
Right.
Went for a knee bar. Used that momentum to actually get me back up on my feet. Then I took him down, which in all fairness, I wasn't mentally ready for him to actually, I was like, oh, this is going to be a BS takedown. I'm like, I'm throwing the takedown. I was like, oh, shit, it worked.
And now you're back on the ground.
Yeah, so we were on the ground, but immediately he pulls into a triangle. I was like, fuck. And I was defending, and then because I wasn't checking properly, my check wasn't going out wide enough, and his foot was catching the back of my calf. So, basically, I had a calf kick going on. So I put all my pressure in my leg buckles. I'm like, oh. So I got choked out there. Then I took another fight, a month or two again with Smash Global against an old veteran, Tony Lopez. Went to the decision with him because, he has a blockhead. The dude's notoriously known for not going to sleep, and I beat the ever living brakes off this gentleman.
I think that's you too, right? You've never been knocked out in your career.
No, but I do feel like it's humanly possible, but
maybe we don't know that yet.
Doesn't seem like it at all.
My goal is not to test if I could get knocked out.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Try to avoid that one as much as possible.
I mean, on your Contender Series shots, and you just bounced right off of you. I mean,
well, in fairness, a lot of the punches did miss. So I take that fight and then I go to Contender Series. I prepped for 10 weeks for one guy. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Then they're like, hey, we're postponing another 8 weeks. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I'm expecting to go with this boxer. I was expecting it to be very technical. I was like, all right, we're going to be technical. So I'm thinking this, right? I'm like, it's going to be a technical bout, whatever. Then out of freaking nowhere, they're like, hey, your opponent changed 4 days before it.
4 days, that's crazy.
So we could cancel it. I'm like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. I was like, screw it, let's take it. So that fight goes on, and he catches me with 2 or 3 clean shots. One, because I really wasn't expecting a brawler. I was expecting more of a technician. So he just blitzed me. I was like, oh, shit.
There's a couple blitzes there at the beginning that seemed to catch you a little bit off guard.
Yeah, but I also knew that if I survived the initial blitz, literally – I told me and my coaches, we all had that discussion that this dude only has a minute and a half, 2 minutes top.
So just wait that out.
He was like, well, I just trained for a 5-round fight. I'm like, this dude don't got 5 minutes in this fight. I could do all 3 rounds if I have to, but I'm like, this dude's not gonna beat me. Sure enough, he starts fading quick. I was like, all right. I was starting to pick up the pace and do everything right. And then we got to the wall. He goes for a Kimura grip. I go for a crotch lift, which not something I tend to normally do, but I do it. Slammed it on his face, finished the fight there.
Yeah, that you picking him up and slamming to the ground was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I was
yelling.
Inspired by Andrade to what she did to Rose. I was like, that's what I want to do. I was like, wow. Boom.
And
so.
And your time in South Africa, was that a really good time for you to grow? And how long were you in South Africa?
Well, I only would fly out there. So
okay, you weren't staying there.
Yeah, I wasn't staying there. But I was out there for roughly technically a full month.
Was there a culture change at all there, or were you just pretty much living your normal life?
Yes and no. For the most part, a big city is a big city. You could go to any big city around the world, and it's a big city.
Mhm.
I went to Warsaw in Poland. And it felt like Johannesburg. Feels like L.A. Feels like freaking Houston.
Mhm.
Like just a big city is a big city.
Yeah.
Like there was definitely some slight cultural barriers. I wouldn't say barriers, but more shocks.
Yeah.
Like how we talk about our homeless people.
Yeah.
Yeah, our homeless people are fucking lucky compared to the homeless people in South Africa. Like I said something to, I'm like, damn. I'm like, I saw a gentleman. He had no limbs, like no legs, or hell, even no. It was something bad. He was missing some limbs, but the
Right.
guy basically goes, "Oh yeah, you'll see that on every corner. You get the missing arm, leg guy. You get the blind guy. You'll get this." I'm like, and at first I thought he was joking, and sure as shit,
This is where you were going.
this guy missing this, and then when I went to Sun City, in South Africa, we as we kept on driving, we went through some like indigenous kind of areas, like
Mhm.
not like super, but they lived in more huts. I was like, oh shit, like they were perfectly fine with that. I'm like, okay, that's not something you normally see.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, the only other thing was there was like I have a South African friend. She is white. Me and her will argue this. I'm like, there's a giant race divide.
Mhm.
Considering it's Africa, you assume all of it would be black people. Well, I found a lot of the Africans were working your service jobs. They were the ones that did all the serving, cash register. And then, don't get me wrong, you see a bunch of Africans working in the upper echelons.
Yeah.
But when you would see the white people, all you would see was the upper echelons. And I got like, and once I started understanding how the Europeans integrated into South Africa, I'm like, oh, you guys were jackasses.
Yeah. They came and just kind of took it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, a lot of that started making sense. I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of jackasses up in here, and it was weird because I also saw kind of how some of the white people would treat the Africans. I'm just like, yeah, that's weird. And then like because they were so used to being treated one way that I'm not one of those people that are like the lot of white people there kind of treated them still like subservient, and I would just be like, hey, what's up, how are you doing? And they're like, wait, what, like you're talking to me? I'm like, yeah, like that's bullshit. I'm totally down for this. And like when I would go there every couple, like because I was mostly in Johannesburg and Pretoria area, if I visited the same restaurant and stuff, a lot of them remember me like, hey, it's you, like, what's up? I'm like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I can see how that's a huge culture shock, though.
Yeah. And building
Yeah,
relationships
I mean,
definitely would help being in a foreign country. So I imagine that probably helped a lot.
yeah, and I mean, I'm just one of those people that like, if you seem like a fun person, I'll talk to you. Like, I'm not one of, like,
Never met a stranger. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like I've been told that like I'm very good at getting very shy people out of their shells. I'm like,
Which is a great thing.
yeah, like I guess like introverts hate me for that reason. They're like, I want to be in my little shell, and I'm like, I don't blame you, but I got some shit to say.
So listen,
like it's like you have to listen. That's all you have to do, and then usually they'll listen, and they want to be like, you're stupid, right? Like,
we all need to hear
it comes with the territory. I get my face punched in for a living. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and for the like outside of that though, I mean, I also see why when I was in South Africa, why people hate Americans, because I started hating Americans. I'm like, yeah, you kind of a bitch.
That's what perspective does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't.
definitely.
I was like, I'm very self-aware. I'm a very self-aware person, and I was just like, yeah, I get why people hate us. And I'm like, you're the reason. And then this person, it's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I hope you trip and fall on your face.
Yeah. So we
All
got
right,
about 10 minutes left with you.
Oh,
So just real quick, we wanted to talk about two more things, and one of them being the difference in your day-to-day life in between, all right, the time between now, like what it's looking like now, and then what it looked like when you were still fighting on the amateur circuit. So now that you've signed this contract and you're prepping for your first fight in just 10 days in the UFC, is there any difference in that day to day?
yeah, no. My like, if we go straight amateur, good portion of it I was either single or had one girlfriend. So, like when I was single, I had 3 jobs,
Mm-hmm.
bouncing, working nights, and then training. And then when I had a girlfriend, I was working maybe 1 or 2 jobs, still training. And then now I have 2 businesses
Wow.
and still training.
What are your 2 businesses?
Right now, so if you see this thing, that's a candy machine. I
Candy
own
machine.
that, and we're actually in my potential locker slash bathroom for the gym I own.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I'm also a professional fighter on top of all
And
that.
on top of those
Yeah,
2
of
things, I
course.
think the professional
So-
fighter one's the coolest
So
one.
with your gym that you own, I know. I mean, I saw it from some of your TikToks. You of like teaching kids or teenagers. So like with you teaching classes like that, like how long have you been doing that? What type of classes do you teach? Just a
You
little about that.
typical MMA classes. You have your Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, gi and no gi, wrestling. Yeah, our predominant student base are teenagers. I have a bunch of teenagers who are adults in their early 20s. I have a few of the older guys come in, but also I opened this business up during COVID too, so I mean I'm definitely missing a little bit, but I mean I have a group of kids that I really enjoy working with. Most of them, also just do this to kind of get out of the house, and
Yeah.
that's a huge part right now because a lot of people are staying in the house.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a blessing to them too, being able to
Yeah.
go do that.
Like, as a business owner, I'm like, yay! But as like a person, I also get people need to socialize one way or another, and
Yeah.
like some people are great with like Zoom meetings or
Mhm.
like people FaceTime. I personally, I'm like, I don't want to see your face. I don't want to talk to you that much. I'll see you in person.
That makes
And
sense. I think that's a lot how we are too. It kind of sucks that we have to do everything on a camera now.
yeah, but I mean, like especially like okay with us, we don't live down the street from each other. I mean,
Yeah.
we might, but
Trust me, we don't.
but at least with us. But like at least with us, there's at least that understanding of distance.
Mhm.
Whereas when your friend lives like 4 houses down, and you're told by everyone, no, you hang out with them, people will die, and they're but I'm bored and sad and depressed, and yeah, so it's one thing I'm glad that we have the younger kids. I push them a little bit harder sometimes because they annoy me, and I'm very vocal about that. I do make fun of them because I joke that there's a few students that bring down the collective IQ of the gym.
You gotta
Like,
keep them straight.
because I don't know if it's being quarantined, but I've gotten some dumb questions. You're like,
But you're their
Yeah.
teacher. You have to be there for them to ask those questions.
Somebody's got to answer the dumb questions.
yeah, and we got I get a lot of them. One of my instructors who's teaching right now, he gets a lot of them too, and he just looks at me like, did he just seriously ask me that? Welcome to my world.
So, Jared, obviously, February 20th, probably the biggest night of your life, upcoming fight against Sergey Spivak. So, up to this point, I know you've been trying to chase him down for a while, even outside of the UFC, and when you're making your runs down around the professional circuit. Would you consider him your rival now? Or
No,
maybe a rival?
no, it's just one of those fights that I wanted. I don't
Mhm.
know why. I just wanted. Now, if he beats me, or if it's like a split decision, then maybe.
Then maybe he's a rival.
Yeah, but like, and I'm pretty sure, considering he's young, I'm not that much older than him. Like,
Mhm.
he's maybe one of the younger heavyweights. I think I'm like a year or two younger than Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades is a young heavyweight.
Right.
I think between uh, us three alone, like Tom Asplin is another example. I think there's a good to fair chance that we'll see each other more than once.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Y'all have a long time, beginning of your careers, a long time ahead of you.
Yeah, and I mean I don't see Spivak going away anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you probably will see him more than one time. Hopefully, it does
Yeah,
turn into
so
some sort of rivalry. 'Cause that's always fun to
yeah,
throw out some jabs at him in a figurative way and literal way on the February 20th. But
for sure the literal way. Maybe not so much as figuratively because I'm just not like I called him out for a reason because I felt like it was either he was running from me or his coaches were keeping him from me.
Yeah.
From how
Something
quick
was
that
happening.
because how quick that response was, something says it was his coaches, and I can't hate that where his coaches or coaches, manager, whoever runs his operating system was like, "Yo, we want you here. If you
Mhm.
fight him, you could beat him, but it might be a hard fight and there's a higher chance of you losing. But if you fight him, we have a feeling you'll whip his ass like 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Him, it's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
So I think it was they were trying to play it smart. I'm not really redacting my statement because I like at the time I definitely felt like he was running from me.
Yeah.
But like I'm also one of those people that obviously he he didn't run this time, so I'm like I'm cool with it.
He's right there in front of you now.
Yeah,
At least you
I'm
got
cool with it. I'm excited for this fight. I would hope he's excited for this fight.
He probably is.
I don't think. I hope he doesn't think this is gonna be an easy fight. Because I'm coming off. I'm coming from the contender series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that he's not an easy fight. I mean, the dude's ranked in the top 20. Like he's on the break. He's on the brink of breaking into the top 15. So it's not like, oh my gosh, like that's something respectable, and I'm going
Yeah.
into first fight. I'm like, all right, well, we're doing this first, and then and it also puts me in the pecking order. If I beat him, it's like, okay, this guy isn't
Possible
some
contender here.
yeah, like this guy's here to fight. You know, like despite the like losses on my record, two of them, some people think they should have been wins.
Yeah.
And the other two, one of them was the fifth round. It was my first 5-round fight. And in all fairness, he caught me. I'm
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
that bad, but and I learned a lot from that. And then the third one, again, it was one of those moments where I was like, damn it, I screwed up and I got
Mhm.
caught. Like, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say any of those fights where I feel like I got my ass handed to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were in all of them.
Yeah.
It could have gone either way still.
Yeah, like if I didn't get caught, who knows? I might have won the judges' decisions, and
Mhm.
not taking away anything from my opponents, but I wouldn't say I will not say lucky. They definitely prepped for that. I know, like with the loss of when I lost to Odoms, I saw that wrist control. I was like, he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. He did it. I was like,
He did it.
it was that moment where you're like, it's the fifth round. He ain't gonna pull that off. He pulls it off. I'm like, motherfucker. was like, I'm like, and now I can't call it lucky. I was
Mhm.
like, he set it up, and eventually I became careless of it, and he caught me fair and square.
Yeah.
Like that to me ain't luck. And again, same with the Hendon. I don't think he was ready for the takedown, but he was immediately like, oh shit, I got to act.
Yeah.
And he acted accordingly. So, but I don't think either of those guys were outclassing me in any which way, and I don't think I'm going to get outclassed here.
Yep.
I
So,
mean-
is there any part of Spivak's fighting game that you're like, oh, I don't know if I have a counter for that, or is there any part of it like, oh, I can definitely take advantage of that?
I wouldn't say that there's anything that I don't like. I do respect his ground,
Mhm.
where like I don't know if that's the place where I want to be. Like I'll use my last opponent. Like they're like, oh, he's a black belt and this, that, this, and that. That I was like, I don't know if I want to be on the ground with him. I don't know if I want to be on the wall with him. And it was like at first I was like, oh no, and then we clinched up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat his ass over here. Like this game plan here. Like. So it can easily vary based off of kind of what happens. And who knows? You always have to assume that you're working with a guy that's trying to better themselves.
Mhm.
So,
And we know for your Contender Series fight, you were coming out about 160 pounds. Are you trying to stay at that weight? Or are you trying to cut it all? What's going on there?
wait, like
You're cutting weight?
So I started strength training for the first time fucking ever. I hate and I fucking utterly hate strength training. I hate lifting weights,
Mhm.
picking them up, putting them down, fucking everything. I met a guy that was a NCAA wrestler. He's a JUCO All-American. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna make sure we put some size on you without sacrificing speed or your cardio. I'm like, I'm skeptical because muscle always tends to be more oxygen to the muscle means cardio goes out quicker. So I was like, oh shit. So I'm actually having a harder time than normal cutting weight because I've actually put on some sizable muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still fat though. Don't get me wrong. Like, still got some.
Still got the
there.
gut a little bit. Nothing to be
Size is
ashamed of.
Size is definitely still size.
You basically laid on your last opponent and just beat the crap out of him.
2 shots. Sorry. It was just one of those things where my weight cut's becoming one of the bigger issues. But even then, it's not as big of an issue if I was like a 145er. So
right, you definitely got a lot of wiggle room being a heavyweight.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't want to, but if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're gonna come in looking as huge as ever, probably right at there around that 260. Hopefully, got some lean muscle in there. But with this big fight coming up, first fight in the UFC, we got to ask it. You got to give us a prediction. What are you gonna go in there and do to him?
I'm thinking second round, Uragami rolls to a heel hook.
Heel hook, second
Let's
round.
go.
You heard it here.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
That's the plan. Heel hook my way to the top.
And it is going to be willed into existence. I guarantee.
It
I'm
is just
guaranteeing
like
it right
that.
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, I'm going to Gordon Ryan his ass so damn bad.
That's awesome.
Well, Jared, we really do appreciate your time with us today. We don't want to keep you too long. We know you got a lot of other things to tend to right now. But trust me, we're going to be watching February 20th, pulling for you. But we really do appreciate the time that you took out of your day just to be with us and we can call you our first official guest for our podcast. So when we go big, you got all the credit, man.
Absolutely.
And when you go big, then we get a ton of credit. So there we go. But no, dude, we're really excited to watch you. We'll be pulling for you, and we really do appreciate the time that you gave us today.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks,
and
man.
We are going to be ordering shirts here soon, just for our podcast, and just as a thank you. We do want to send you one. But once those come in, I'll contact you on Instagram again so we can send one to you. But we really do appreciate it. We want to show our gratitude a little bit.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really make sizes for 6'4", absolutely,
Be a
absolutely
dinosaur.
dominant.
Oh, yeah. Little T-Rex.
But hey, man, get back to training, get back to that weight cutting, and we'll be watching you February 20th. Really appreciate you, man.
All right. You guys have a lovely day.
You
I'm out.
too.
well.
Man, and Jared was just an awesome guy, wasn't he? He really was a freaking mountain.
Oh yeah, I know. He was a talker too. He really had a lot of really good insights. That
Yeah, I didn't expect that tangent about South Africa, but it was pretty cool. I mean, we don't have a lot of people in our lives with that kind of insights. That was a cool little look in.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it
definitely
was
a good
really
choice.
cool.
Yeah,
It was
I'm
really
a fan.
cool to just let him run with it too. Like just set it up for him and just let him tell us about himself, let him tell us about fighting, and just let him just go on and show us a little bit of that personality that he's got. But we're super excited to have had him on the show. The conversation went great. It went a lot better than a lot of us expected.
Oh yeah, especially for our first guest ever, week 1, baby.
First guest
And
ever.
guess what? We had our first qualified person on the podcast. We're
First
unqualified.
qualified talker on the Unqualified Sports Talk podcast, and it could not have gone better. We love him, and we cannot wait for February 20th. He's going to beat up on Spivak, and we're going to lose our minds.
True.
Oh, absolutely throwing a rager once he defeats him.
Absolutely. But for the rest of the week, we have had a Super Bowl in the past week that we have to talk about, as well as the wrapping up of the NFL season. And we'll also just look ahead to what's to come in free agency and a little bit of a check-in with the NBA. But let's transition into the last football game of the season. It was not a particularly close game, but guys, immediate thoughts?
Go Bucks. But not really. I'm not a Bucks fan at all. I wanted the Chiefs to win. But one question I'm going to pose to y'all right off the bat. Does Tom Brady need a defense to win a Super Bowl? We saw the one time that he had one of the best offenses in Super Bowl history. He lost. This time, his defense stepped up. No one has held Patrick Mahomes under 10 points in his whole career. They do it in the Super Bowl. He wins. Let me hear y'all's thoughts about that.
Defense wins Super Bowls.
Defense wins championships, baby.
Yeah, defense really does win Super Bowls, but also you just got to think in every single one of those situations, the better team all around still wins the Super Bowl. Like the Patriots in his early years, they were better defensively, but they showed up on the offensive side of the ball when they needed to. And we saw it with the Bucs game. They moved the football when they needed to. They slowed down in the second half when they had the lead, but they really put the pressure on and they put their foots down to really go and win the game when they needed to.
Yeah.
We said last week when we were predicting the Super Bowl, the scores, which none of us were even close, but we said first one to 30 is winning the game. I mean, it didn't really make a difference in this one, but history, especially this season, is kind of staying true. First one to 30 won the game.
Yeah. And I did say 31-28, so I got half of it right. I was halfway
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
a lot of points off the other end. Good job, Austin. Everybody.
Yeah, congratulations, Austin.
Yeah, we're really proud of you, Austin.
Super Bowl prediction halfway correct. But yeah. Well, what did you guys see in the game? A little bit deeper. Some things that maybe brought up question marks. Some things that brought up red flags. Particularly on the defensive side for the Chiefs.
Well, I think we see that Chiefs have problems that aren't Patrick Mahomes, especially that secondary. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu obviously a stud and one of the best safeties in the game, but everyone else just looked kind of lost out there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I wonder if part of that isn't the hype of playing against Tom Brady. Just the weight of knowing that you're playing against the greatest to ever do it. And a Super Bowl is a lot different than in, week 12? Or compared to last year, playing against, no offense, but Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady's former understudy. And, a highly paid quarterback that's not even the cornerstone of his own offense. So I think that maybe that kind of played into it. and a lack of maturity and composure kind of came out on the defense. Like it looked like they got
And
rattled.
how intimidating is it that you know that if you lose to Tom Brady, he's going to be tossing the Lombardi Trophy from boat to boat in the Bay,
Yeah, 8 beers deep.
8 beers deep. You see him walk around, basically falling, needing someone to help him. That's intimidating when you have a guy who's been there that often. He's that comfortable. He can just chuck the Lombardi Trophy like it's nothing. But that was
Yeah, I
also one of
mean,
my favorite videos ever.
he's
It
got
made me
he's
like
got
Tom Brady a lot more.
he's got so many now. Like if he drops it into the bay, whatever. He's got 6
Oh,
more
yeah,
sitting in his
yeah.
closet.
Let me go get another one. You think he has them framed or set up, or do you think at this point he's just kind of storing them in the garage with 1, 2 around?
Well, I would hope that he doesn't have the Lombardi trophies. Just
Well,
to
you
show
know, everybody has
emphasis.
replicas of them. If you win one, you have one in your house.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
dead
sure
law.
he's just got one with a little plaque on it, and he doesn't really care that much. I'm sure he's got a big trophy case for all the individual awards, but I doubt
Mhm.
he ever actually uh, flaunts it or honestly even cares about it. I think he just cares about getting back to it.
He has one trophy with just the amount of tally marks that he's won. So he has like 7 tally marks on one trophy.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're forgetting he's also married, so maybe he doesn't have them, but maybe Giselle has them. Just a giant room, show all of her friends, just come over and
Yeah,
be
she
like,
might just have them locked away for safekeeping, like my mom does with everything from my childhood.
Yeah, me too. I think my mom still has my first toenail that I lost in the closet somewhere. That was a joke.
Yeah,
"That's
your
disgusting."
first toenail
Yeah, that was a
and your
joke.
foreskin and every teeth you've ever lost. Yeah,
Yeah, I actually
probably.
do have an old
Um,
tooth that I lost.
So do I.
yeah, I mean,
That's not
I've
weird.
still got some as well. But with the game, I saw a lot of people that were critiquing the officiating. It ended up being Chiefs 11 penalties for 120 yards. Bucks were only 4 for 39. Did you guys notice anything with that, or you just think it's just sloppy play by the Chiefs?
I mean, for the most part, I think the officiating was pretty straightforward and called the right way. I mean, there was that one pass interference in the end zone that probably wasn't pass interference, but you have 100 as a season that could go either way, like a flag that was thrown that probably wasn't a pass interference. Refs are human too. They're going to make one mistake like that per game at least. So it didn't bother me too much, and it seemed like the game was already out of reach at that point anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tom Brady always challenges teams to play extremely disciplined football and
Mm-hmm.
highly technical football, and he's just able to expose those little mistakes that most other quarterbacks can't. And I think maybe getting in Ty Matthews' head a little bit could have helped as well because he was playing
Oh, them jawing
well,
was
but
awesome, and he got pissed after Tom Brady was jawing to him.
oh yeah,
Oh, definitely.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he definitely excels at just knowing how to A, get in their heads, and B, expose their little mistakes. Um, but honestly, we pointed it out, in last week's episode that none of that matters if you get to them and you hit them, and the Chiefs just could not do that the entire game, and the
Mhm.
Bucks did, and it really showed. Mahomes got bullied. They ended up pressuring him 20 times to only 5 times for Brady, and it showed. He never seemed comfortable. He never seemed to have his feet set, and he was never seemed like he was able to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, I agree. But now that we're a little bit over the halfway point of the Super Bowl recap, but let's talk about the weekend's halftime show. In my opinion, it was terrible and a terrible waste of $7 million of his own money. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
if you're gonna spend $7 million
halftime
of your
show.
own money on top of probably the $1 billion they give you for the show initially, like, make it memorable at all.
Yeah, exactly. It was one to forget. Our halftime show to our Super Bowl conversation is talking about the halftime show, and it's probably going to be one to forget too, because that's just how boring this halftime show was. That it's
Yep.
just going to be boring us talking about it because
But we have
it
to
was
talk
that
about it
bad.
because it's the halftime show of the Super Bowl. But now we can move on
It's the
from it
halftime show of
because
the
it
Super
was
Bowl.
terrible.
Yeah,
It
And
was that
so
bad.
odd.
it was terrible.
Yeah, weird too.
All right, and back to the football, guys. End of halftime, kickoff. Will the Chiefs be back? And or will the Bucks be back next year in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have a better shot coming out of the AFC than the Bucks do coming out of the NFC, just because of the Rams really emerging now as that.
You're
Yeah.
you're saying Rams are number one contender for the NFC at this point?
Yeah, I think they're the best option to take out the Bucks, behind Green Bay, depending on how their offseason goes. So, but then the AFC, I mean, the Bills.
They're
are
probably just going to
better.
draft another quarterback, right? The Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah, late first round, sit him
Yeah,
for
late
first
4
round.
years.
Mac Jones, baby.
Kyle Trask.
Yeah, they're just gonna use it on a backup for somebody that they'll never need. But with all the turnover that comes with the offseason, it's really hard to just sit here and say for sure that either of these teams has a better chance than the other. But honestly, one thing that's consistent for the next however many years he signed for, 25 years, is Patrick Mahomes, and I'm never going to pick against him.
Okay, we have to talk about those two impossible passes that he made that hit his teammates in the helmet, and they dropped it. I mean, obviously every sporting media outlet ever has already talked about it, but it really was just that great. Him levitating parallel to the ground and then making that pass.
Yeah.
All right, this is all I'm going to ask, and this is all we're going to touch on this because, like I said, everybody else has already touched on it. Do we actually think Patrick Mahomes is human?
No, there's no question that he's
no
not.
question he's human.
Yeah.
I'm not even considering him being human.
He's doing all that on a bum foot too.
That he's getting surgery on.
Yeah. He's crazy.
But yeah, I think the Chiefs definitely
ridiculous.
Do have the best shot of getting back out of anybody in the AFC, just because they're not losing anybody. They have a lot of people locked up for a decent amount of time, and it could be like this for the next 3 years, but hopefully they can capitalize it at some point. I think it's important for the Bucks to re-sign Gronk and AB. We saw how integral, and Leonard Fournette. We saw just how integral they were in the Super Bowl. I think between the three of them, they scored every touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gronk, AB, and Leonard Fournette. But yeah, they have to re-sign some, and all of them are still studs.
Absolutely.
Although, of course. And I think
go ahead.
If those guys do end up leaving, the other guys around, whether they're great or not, aka Mike Evans, will just benefit from having an offseason of connection with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Because Brady and Gronk, we know that, and then he's had AB literally live in his house, and he's been all over the East Coast up and down with Tom. So I think we just saw him go to who he was comfortable with and who he knew was going to be in the spot that he was thrown to, because he's thrown to them before.
And with AB, do you think we can erase the last year and a half from our memories just because he's come back, he's been a great teammate, hard work ethic? Can we just erase that at this point, or is that going to tarnish his legacy still?
Well, that also gets into the question of the Tom Brady effect. He's actually been living in his house at certain points. He knows that he's going to come in and he's going to have to work, and that's all that matters, is just getting in there day in and day out and working hard and really just focusing on the next game. And I think once you get in a place where all the spotlight's on you and there's not a guy like that in the locker room, I think that it can just lead to some of those things that we saw, including the helmet catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you're competing,
and I feel like, oh, go ahead, Austin.
When you're competing with Ben Roethlisberger to be the most popular player on a team, you're going to win if you're Antonio Brown. But with Tom Brady,
now Juju's winning on that team.
True. But being with Brady takes away some of that, and it also gives you more of, I hate to use this language, but a father figure, or someone to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
Someone to keep you in line and really help you stay focused on football when it's needed. And I just don't see that kind of strong personality or leadership in Big Ben. I'm sure he's a great person, but we just don't really see that from him. So.
And the thing with Tom Brady is, if you're not there to win championships, Tom Brady's not going to want you there. Exactly. And obviously, Antonio Brown's been working his butt off, and Tom Brady wants him there. He's even said it. He sees a lot in AB. He respects him, and yeah, they need to re-sign him because. But yeah, I personally can forget about this last year and a half with AB, but I don't know so much if the media is going to forget about him.
Yeah, I mean, the media definitely does not forget nearly as easily. But all that matters is Antonio Brown and the Tampa Bay Bucks are Super Bowl champs. I mean,
They are.
congratulations.
Good job, Bucks.
Congratulations. Good job, Bucks. But Super Bowl was a big night. The NFL also had a big night before that. We had our NFL honors of the year. There were a couple of awards announced. They might have been a little important, but the big one, our MVP of the year, the biggest award, which is turned into the best quarterback award, but it went to him. Aaron Rodgers, what do you think?
Aaron freaking Rodgers. Unfortunately, we're not the Pat McAfee show yet. We can't have Aaron Rodgers on every Tuesday, but one day we're going to.
Yep, Aaron Rodgers.
Everybody keep that in mind right now. 3 years from now, Aaron Rodgers every Tuesday on the show. Calling it out.
Aaron Rodgers Tuesday.
Yep, we'll have Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. But I mean, this was an easy selection for MVP, right? This is his most dominant season ever. Unfortunately, he couldn't capitalize on a Super Bowl. I personally love Aaron Rodgers. 4,300 passing yards, 48 touchdowns, 70% completion percentage, and only 5 interceptions. I mean, what more can you ask for in a quarterback? This is one of the best seasons that we've seen in a long, long time. I mean, what Josh Allen got 2-3 votes, and then Patrick Mahomes got 1.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very split at all.
No, it was completely Aaron Rodgers. I mean, all those people that voted for Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were probably from Buffalo and Kansas City. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, Aaron Rodgers is still the most talented quarterback overall to ever do it. I mean, you have obviously Patrick Mahomes coming up, but he's not. He's only been a starter for 3 years, right? He's not 100% proven yet. Peyton Manning's up there too, but Aaron Rodgers just the way he can place that ball, man. It's anywhere he wants, and he's throwing to people like Big Bob Tunyon and Alan the Lizard King Lazard. He doesn't have a Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. He has Devontae Adams, but that's just one.
Yeah, I mean,
all these other great quarterbacks have had the Dallas Clarks of the world at tight end, the Travis Kelce's of the world. It's one of the most impressive. It's one of the most impressive things ever coming from someone who doesn't have a ton of weapons.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. And, the big question is, will we see that translate into postseason success for the Packers next year? And will they be able to string together 20 consecutive good games rather than just 16?
And that's the trouble, right? That's what we were just talking about. They need to draft somebody to help them out, even a defensive player. Their defense is not good. They have Jair Alexander. I think he's one of the top up-and-coming cornerbacks in the league. But who else is anchoring that defense? The answer is nobody. Who else besides Devontae and Aaron is anchoring that offense? Yeah, Aaron Jones is great, but I don't know.
He's gone, probably.
Yeah, he's gone. Probably both running backs are gone. I think A.J. Dillon's probably going to have to step up next year. So
he will, but he did look good in
he did.
Very limited time.
He might have bigger quads than Saquon Barkley, which might be more impressive than Patrick Mahomes' parallel throw. But
I think that translates to success.
It does. You just mow people over, like Brian Dawkins 07 people.
Well, mowing people over, like our next award winner, Offensive Player of the Year, Derrick Henry. Austin, what'd you see from him this year?
Yeah, really no surprise here, given the kind of season that he had, right? I mean, unless you double up and give the Offensive Player of the Year award to Aaron Rodgers as well as the MVP, Derrick Henry's right there below him as the next best offensive player. Joins the 2K club, 17 tutties, and honestly just a dominant season. I will add, carrying my fantasy team for a lot of the season. Several weeks were saved by 40-point Derrick Henry performances, but really just the cornerstone piece of that offense, right? I mean, he's able to make Tannehill look good. He's able to make the receivers who are young and unproven look good. And he is the offensive coordinator on the field for that offense because he dictates how things go. If he's on, it's really going to be hard to stop that offense. Obviously, they come up short in the playoffs. 18 carries, 40 yards. it's kind of hard to tell. Is that the scheme? Is that him? Is that the Ravens just playing extremely good defense? I think only time will tell. And I hope that they get back to the playoffs next year and really make a push, because I just love watching Derrick Henry walk over people and stiff arm them to Mars and back. It's beautiful.
He does.
And he's
Well,
27, so he's still, he's kind of in that medium like age range for running backs, where he's probably still got 4 or 5 dominant years left. And then we'll see him slow down probably a little bit after that, but he's no Jerome Bettis, and I think he's probably the strongest back that we've seen in a long time. So we'll see how this new NFL ages him compared to someone like Jerome Bettis.
Right, and you do have to ask if that coming up short in the playoffs is due to being. I look at the Titans as a one-dimensional team, and I know a lot of people are super high on Ryan Tannehill, but he doesn't have that success, as you were saying, Austin, without that running game. So hopefully something can change for them there.
Yeah, and when he's on and when he's running the ball like he can, stronger and faster than everybody, it's pretty easy to scheme plays, and it really just opens up the whole defense.
And there's really one player in the NFL that I think can tackle Derrick Henry one-on-one. And now who is the defensive player of the year? Aaron Donald. What are y'all thoughts on Aaron Donald this past year?
Well, it's really quick when you're talking about this award, because I think Aaron Donald honestly deserves it every year. He's just that much better than everybody else. He's been in the league and he's been performing, and he gets to the quarterback unlike any other defensive tackle. He had 13.5 sacks this year, which is right on par with what he averages. He averages 12 a season, which is just absolutely unheard of for defensive tackles. He also put up 2 extra sacks in the playoffs, which, the Rams, hopefully they'll be getting some extra playoff games this year. And I know they have high hopes now that they traded for Matty Stafford. Hopefully that puts Aaron Donald on that big stage again. But, when you talk about just the difference between him and everybody else, he's just something that we've never seen before. And he just keeps getting better, and he's just as consistent as anybody else in the league at getting at the quarterback. I mean, he pressured quarterbacks 45 times this year and only missed 2 tackles. Like, he's dominant at getting to the quarterback. He's dominant at just playing defense and tackling against the run. And he's just the best defensive player in the league. No doubt.
Yep, I don't think anybody's going to argue with you there. I think there's been... How many people have won 3 Defensive Player of the Years?
It's just 3. Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, and Lawrence Taylor.
And yeah, those names are all etched into NFL lore forever.
Yeah, they probably have their seats on somewhere on someone's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, for defensive players.
Yeah, definitely. But
and now time to go over
beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to go over arguably the most important and most prestigious award in the NFL, the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Take it away, Austin.
Yeah. And not much here for football side of things, but we have to remember that football is just the game that they play. It's the job that they do, but it's really nice to see that a lot of NFL players take the time to go outside into their community and really try to make an impact and influence the community for good. They put that money back into the community that really gives it to them by supporting them. And Russell Wilson has been doing that for a while with the Why Not You Foundation, and his wife Sierra is also part of that. So if you don't know what it is, it's basically a foundation that focuses on empowering and enabling kids to overcome obstacles and embrace opportunities with a very heavy influence on education. So they're really trying to do what they can to make a difference, especially in underprivileged communities, which is really awesome to see.
I mean, hey, congratulations to him. We call it the most important award for a reason. It's sometimes it's easy to tunnel vision to the game, but hey, these guys have made their brand, and they're using it for good. So hey, congratulations, Russell Wilson. But
Congratulations.
we talk
Most
about,
prestigious award.
yeah, congratulations. We talk about guys making an impact with their brand they've already made, and now we'll transition into the guys who are maybe just starting to make their brand. With Offensive Rookie of the Year, who was Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Chargers, formerly of San Diego. Um, he played really, really well. I think that he surprised every single person on the planet with his performance.
Everyone.
We didn't even expect him to play. That was the even bigger surprise was the punctured lung to Tyrod Taylor that let Justin Herbert, come out and start when he figured out like 10 seconds before kickoff or whatever it was. It wasn't that, but it was something like that.
And we all know that they punctured his lung on purpose. That way Justin Herbert could play.
Yeah, of course. They told him that he had to go out.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes out.
Maybe Justin Herbert did it.
Yeah, he might have done
Might have put a twist on things.
He wanted his shot, and that's what they say. You go out and you take your job. But he completed 67% of his passes, which is right on there with some of the league's best. He threw for 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 picks, and he only played 15 games. You talk about adding one extra game to that, whatever. But, some of those stats might look just that much better. And, with the 10 picks for a rookie, with as much usage as he had, he threw almost 600 passes. That's really, really good. It's less than 2% on any of his attempts on any given attempt, which is up there with some of the best in the league. But I know we all liked what we saw from him. I'm really interested to see year 2 from Justin Herbert and Joey Burrow, hopefully going at it a little bit, fighting for who's next. But that's really exciting for the AFC with 2 young guys at the quarterback position. But we've got a defensive stud over in the NFC. What do we think about our defensive rookie of the year, Chase Young?
Chase Young. I've been on the Chase Young bandwagon since day one. In my opinion, should have been the number 1 overall draft pick this past year. I know a lot of people want to shoot me for that, but QB is the most important position in the league. It's a quarterback league. Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But I still think he was the best overall prospect in this past draft, even over Joey Burrow. Obviously, Joe Burrow's season was cut short, so it's hard to make comparisons, how much impact he would really have, if that would translate to winning. Back to Chase Young. He was drafted to the Washington football team, number 2 overall. One of the best front four in probably the league. And he already might be one of the best defensive ends for the league, for all we know. I personally think he is. But, honestly, you can't really say that about any other player, any other position in this draft, that they might be one of the best in the whole league at their given position. Yeah. So I think that says a lot to Chase Young being so young. That was kind of a pun. But being so young and being so versatile, so dominant in his first year is something that's awesome. And I think he has a lot of Pro Bowls and all pros to come in his future, potentially Super Bowl, if they can find people to surround Terry McLaurin on the defensive side. So we'll see. Chase Young's awesome, though. I love him.
Yeah, he's definitely
he's absolutely a stud.
Yeah, he's someone that transcends what you would imagine for a rookie season, right? And kind of in the same way, our next award winner transcends what we think to be possible for a human being to do. That's our comeback player of the year, Alex Smith, who blows a lot of our minds. So, Carson, what you got to say about Alex Smith?
Yeah, pretty much as soon as he stepped onto the field, he won this award. Say about that what you will. The fact that he had an injury that was impossible to watch, and just gruesome, and then with the infection that almost took his life, almost took his leg, and then they say you might not have your leg, you might not ever be able to walk again on that side, after he found out that he wasn't going to die. And then he comes back and he is able to get into shape and is able to perform at a level well enough to play in the NFL. Hey, that's the story that all of us want to see. But he comes out, he starts 6 games. He plays in 8, but they go 5-1 in the games he starts. He didn't particularly play well, with 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. But no matter what, we're just glad to have him back in the NFL. And, it's really, really encouraging to see at what point our medicine is to where he can still get back from where he was and play at such a high level.
Yeah, what a crazy turn of events, right? With Alex Smith. And you're talking about the guy that trains up Patrick Mahomes, gives him the keys to the kingdom, for lack of a better word, and just really jump starts his career. And then obviously everything happens, and he's moved around, and he ends up in Washington, and he still finds a way to be productive. Like you said, 5 wins. That's great. But our next award
it's the
winner,
only stat that matters.
Exactly. Our next award winner only had 5 losses this season. That's Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski from Cleveland.
Good job, Kevin.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, congratulations, Kevin.
He is an interesting person to me. He spends his entire NFL coaching career in Minnesota, and then just gets a job to be the coach of the Cleveland Browns this year.
Bronze.
After Minnesota does not have a great season in 2019, especially offensively with Kirk Cousins, but they say, hey, we want Stefanski here with all these pieces that no one really knows how they're going to fit together. We're going to throw them in there and see what happens. And 11-5, first playoff since 2002 in the land, and they beat
the dog pound.
How crazy is this? They beat their their divisional rival, the Steelers, and Stefanski doesn't even have to coach the game. They beat
the Browns is the Browns.
They beat them
Browns
with Stefanski sitting in what I imagine to be like footy pajamas in his basement, probably eating cake, watching the game, just laughing over how bad the Steelers played in that game and how well his team played and how they showed up. And then you get Stefanski back on the field the next week, and they're right there with the Kansas City Chiefs. And they realistically could have beaten the Chiefs after the Mahomes injury. So future looks bright in Cleveland to me. They get Odell back. They get some of those other 5th and 6th man pieces back, and we'll see what happens. So
there's definitely been a culture change in Cleveland, and it's going to be exciting to see what Baker, what Odell, what Juice, what that whole Myles Garrett does in the near future. But, that kind of wraps up this current season that we've just been in the NFL with the Super Bowl and the awards. It was a very interesting season. Every game was played. It was a fun season.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there's not a season like it anytime soon just because of the rescheduling and all the question marks, but it was a good NFL season. We're through it. Good job, NFL. We're proud of you.
Hey, congrats, NFL. Hey, congrats to the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And, they play the game on every day of the week. Congrats, NFL.
We did. But with a new season turning over, that means we get to focus on the offseason, and probably the most intriguing part of the offseason besides the draft is free agency. And, when I think of free agency this year, I'm honestly kind of focusing on this wide receiver class. It's pretty deep, led by A.J. Green, Allen Robinson, and T.Y. Hilton. Allen Robinson is by far my favorite prospect out of these receivers. He's super young. He's only 27. And he's had great production on awful passing teams. He was with the Jaguars. He went to the Bears right after. His best 2 seasons have been with Blake Bortles as quarterback and Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. Let's think about that. That's terrible. That would be awful to play at. He's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback. That's nothing I would wish on any man ever, because Mitch is terrible. You're hearing that from me. That you can quote me on that. I hate him. He's terrible. But he's in for a huge payday. The guy's a stud. Playing with terrible quarterbacks, putting up those kind of numbers is something that's absolutely crazy. He's in for a big payday, and I'd honestly like to see him reunite with the Jaguars. Go with Urban Meyer. Go with T-Law. There's already a dynamic run game there, so that's going to draw a lot of attention to the run game. Boom, he's open. Add T-Law, and Allen Robinson could be an integral part of that dynamic passing game that there's obviously going to be with a stud quarterback there. And it's also super important for Urban Meyer to start off with a bang. Go get someone like Allen Robinson. He could change the culture along with T-Law, and I'm super excited for that. That's where I'm picking Allen Robinson III to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And that's a young receiver room too, so there's no telling what sort of ripple effects that has with a guy like that coming in for those young guys.
The whole team's young. They with T-Law and Urban Meyer, the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah, I was thinking
absolutely
about
is. Austin, who you got?
So I've got.
They need somebody.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch with Michael Thomas, but I've got Dak Prescott. So another offensive piece. Obviously, a lot of questions here, and it's the Cowboys. So with questions comes drama. And if you've been following sports at all this week, you've probably heard about the Cowboys 2021 hype video that had all these Cowboy greats and then some new young faces like CeeDee Lamb and no Dak Prescott. The guy that Jerry Jones has said is, he's our franchise quarterback, and then he's not in the hype video for next season. And then their media people come out and say it's just an oversight. I'm not really buying it.
Fishy.
I think there's a lot of issues there. You have a quarterback who's 27. He's never had a season that he played every game that it was under 3,000 yards, which is obviously a great start on a team that had a lot of question marks, especially at receiver before Amari Cooper got there. And he's got a 42-27 record, 1-2 in the playoffs, so that is what it is. But they're the Cowboys. If they don't choke in the playoffs, they're not going to be the Cowboys. And this is probably one of the least talked about so far quarterback moves that could happen. I think everyone just assumes he's going back to Dallas and he's going to get the payday. And we were kind of talking about it before, is he going to get Mahomes money? Like, is he going to get $45 million and is he going to get a huge deal? I don't think so. I think it'll be more comparable to Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, those deals that happened that shook the NFL. I think he'll get a little bit more than them, but less than Mahomes. That he'll be somewhere in that range, and maybe 6 or 7 years, if he goes back to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But my 3 landing spots for him, my top 3: Carolina, coming to Charlotte, the home state at least for us 3. So maybe we could go see some Dak Prescott gameplay. But my other 2 are Washington, definitely in need of a quarterback there because, goodness, we all know that they don't want Kyle Allen to be their quarterback next year, and they definitely aren't going to hold on to Alex Smith as the quarterback long term. Or Indianapolis. I think that's probably my favorite one because I think that takes that takes the Colts to the next level, to me at least. The run game, you got Prescott able to throw the deep ball to their receivers, and then you've got a defense that is just sturdy and solid. And
they're very solid all-around team besides the quarterback position last year.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Philly Rivers, he had a great career, and he's going to probably be a Hall of Famer, even though he never won a championship, just because he really didn't have that big of an impact on the league, and he was always around, even if he wasn't necessarily winning in the playoffs. But like we said, defense wins championships, and defense definitely wins playoff games. So, Carson, you've got a defensive free agent that I know you're excited to talk about.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this guy. We talk about defense wins championships, but the offensive guys get all the press, they get all the excitement, and they get all the money. I think you go into free agency and you look at certain holes on your roster and you say, how do we get the best player that we can get to fit into our lineup? You can't have a superstar. You can't have the number 1 pick at every single position. And I think a guy that is going to turn some heads by leaving Arizona is Patrick Peterson. I think he's a guy that will be able to sign a contract and make a difference on a team, and possibly be a guy like the year that Darrelle Revis went to New England to go and play really well for maybe like a year and some change, and then maybe send off into the end of his career, like kickstart the end of his career with a really good season and possibly a championship. Patrick Peterson, he's going to be 31 years old as soon as the season starts. He has had 10 years of his career. His first 8 were all Pro Bowls, and this season was his first season that he's played all 16 games and not made it in the Pro Bowl. He still had 3 interceptions, which is in line with his average. He's almost got 30 on his career, so that's about even. But he has never missed a game due to injury. He's going to be there. He's going to be hopefully locking guys down for him. And he has only played more snaps than he did last season once in his career. So you know that he's healthy, you know that he's durable, and you know that he's going to come in and give you his best. It was one of the worst seasons of his career. I think it was his worst. He gave up 67% completion percentage against, which isn't very good, and he's been on this decline since 2018, starting in 10th in PFF grade in 2018 to down to 90th this past season. But a couple teams that I think are looking at him. I think the football team's looking at him. They're a young defense, and I think that he would fit in very nicely at the corner position. I think the Saints, going back to Louisiana, where he went to college.
Can the Saints afford him, though?
They definitely can't afford anybody right now. But I think if they cut the right pieces, they trade Michael Thomas, I think Patrick Peterson's a guy that can come in, take a little bit of a pay cut, and that's a place where he would want to contend for a championship. But my place where I think he's going to go, and we're going to love it, he's going to go give a little bit of help to big Aaron Rodgers. He's going to go. That's a stacked corner position with just Jair Alexander. They've got Kevin King, who played really well last season, but I think you can shift him to the slot to make room for Patrick Peterson. I think he's a stud, and I think he goes to Green Bay, and I think he goes to compete for a championship because, 31 years old, he's got 10 seasons in the NFL. That's unreal. Like, congratulations to anybody who can get that far. I know it's hard to be in it that long, play at a high level, and also stay healthy as he has. But I think he goes to Green Bay, and I think he goes to compete and goes to win.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. You heard it here first, everyone. These predictions for these 3 pretty big name free agents. And
yep,
yeah, this is just the start of the offseason. Every week you'll get a little bit of updates with the NFL offseason, what's going on there. Football's probably not going to be the main focus of the show from here on out until football season / the draft starts back up. But we've enjoyed talking about the last couple weeks. But now we're going to do a quick check-in with the NBA. Guys, breaking news. Apparently the Nets suck. Kyrie Irving said that guys, they're not in a good position. This isn't good. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, who would have thought trading away your entire bench after Spencer Dinwiddie goes down for James Harden, who's 20 pounds overweight, still playing extremely well, by the way, but doesn't have the same just defensive capability as some of those other pieces that they let go. Who would have thought that giving away your 7th or 10th man, would lead to your team not being good, especially right after your 6th man went down. So, who would have thought?
Well, Austin, I'm going to counter you. I think it's stupid that Kyrie Irving said that. You have 3 of the top 15 players in the NBA. They're all offensive powerhouses. Yeah, defense is going to struggle. That's probably going to come around. They're all capable defenders. I think you cannot complain when you have those 3 people on your team, regardless of what the bench looks like. LeBron and AD didn't really have a team at all last year, and they won. Besides them two, Jared Dudley has. I think that's selfish for Kyrie to say, and I think it's just dumb and not true.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely selfish, but he's shown that he's not the nice guy in the room. He's not the guy that's going to make people happy. He's going to say what's on his mind, and hey, kudos to him for that. I think we've seen from the Nets what we expected to see. They're seemingly unstoppable in offense. They're second in the league in effective field goal percentage. but they're top 10 in effective field goal percentage allowed because you have three superstars. Only one of them is an actually good defender, and Kevin Durant, when he gives 100%, is one of the best defenders in the league. But the other two guys are lacking, and James Harden is obviously one of the most critiqued defenders in the league. But you see these three guys on the roster, but that's the only place you're seeing them. They're not playing that much together yet. They're all going through their own different things. Kyrie, he's having personal problems. Durant's getting injured and he's off getting suspended. And James Harden just came over in a trade and he's playing, but he's got nobody to play with. He's got Jeff Green, who's 45 years old, and DeAndre Jordan isn't what he used to be, and a guy whose name I can't pronounce is coming off the bench. I think they're going to come up and they're gonna make some noise in the playoffs because at the end of the day, they have the three superstars who are all, like you said, top 15 players. They're incredible talents. But I think at the end of the day, either the drama or the lack of defense is going to come back to bite them. But when we talk about drama, I think some drama in the West a little bit with the playoff situation because it's very, very cluttered, and a team that wasn't there recently, but that we might have expected a little bit is the Golden State Warriors. I know we've got mixed feelings on him in this podcast room, but
Yes,
Steph Curry has been lighting it up. He's been like his old self. His efficiency stats right now are online to be the third best of any of his seasons. He's averaging 29 points and has the Warriors 13-12. Not exactly Curry-esque, but they're 8th in the West. They're right in there. Fighting it out for the positioning for those play-in games. And he's leading the team that hasn't looked great at times, but when he goes out and he drops 50, what can you do?
Well, I'm taking the reins on this. I'm the Steph Curry hater. I'll make it known right here and now. Steph Curry is back with back in quotation marks. You guys remember Russell Westbrook's first triple-double season? Yes, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do.
Of course.
So.
If stats don't turn into winning, does it even freaking matter? This shows Steph can't carry a team in ways like other stars like LeBron and Giannis can. Like, if the stats, everybody hated on Russell Westbrook for, he's not really that good because they're not winning. It's just because Steph Curry, used to have all of these people around him that allowed him to win. Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. Wow. 2, we're going to say the term top 15 players again. Like, if it doesn't result in the winning, just shut up about it. Yeah, it's cool. He's dropping 57 points. Devin Booker dropped 71. You don't hear his name in any MVP race ever. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I'm the resident Curry lover, I think, in this group. But I still agree. If they're not winning, it doesn't matter. 29, 5, 6, and a steal a game is really, really good. But when you're 8th in the West, that's kind of tough. I do think being where they're at in a tough conference, in a league that is built around having 2 or 3 stars, is really good. And it shows that he's like 1.5 of a star rather than just a single star himself. I do think that you put him with really anything other than slow and aging Draymond Green and a bunch of young guys and Kelly Oubre looking like an actual basketball player. You put him with better pieces than that, and he's going to elevate back to that Steph Curry MVP, unanimous MVP level. But obviously Curry is also aging, and there's no way to turn back the clock. So those golden years of MVPs and championships, they're moving away. They're becoming more of the past now. So
yeah, I mean they seem to be out the door, but he's playing well, and they're looking a lot better than they have in the past 18 months or so. But another guy who's got his team looking good and who looks like a stud is LaMelo Ball. Austin, if you want to tell me a little bit what you think about LaMelo Ball before we get on into the last few segments of the show.
He's the best ball brother, and it's not even close. I
He
mean,
is the best ball brother.
We're talking
Yeah,
about
no doubt. Congratulations.
we're talking about
Congratulations, Mo.
someone who not only brings the basketball side of things. His numbers aren't going to obliterate you, right? Like
Well, he's a rookie. Are they supposed to?
Exactly. He's not dropping 30, 10, 10 a game, right? But excuse me, I almost called them Carolina. Charlotte is playing better than we've seen them play since Kemba was there, and even really in Kemba's last 2 years, probably even better than then, or as a team at least. Kemba obviously was a stud, and LaMelo's not there yet. But, I mean, we're talking about a guy that gives you the basketball side, but then he also gives you the mature, the brand, the entertainment side as well. We're seeing a little bit of Showtime in Charlotte, and I like it.
We are Airbnb.
I love it.
Sir, let's. We love to see it. I mean, the Hornets hope for the best for them. Hope LaMelo keeps getting better. It's good to see him starting now. One quick note: he scored 373 points. He's created with assists 369. We know he's a creator, and he's done that, and he's looked really, really good doing it. But Bryce, what sort of segments we got going on for this episode?
Close this out tonight. We're going to start off with Carson's individual segment, Hook'em Picks of the Week. We're going to then go into our top 3. I think Austin has a trivia question for us after that. And then we're going to end with a this or that segment. So, Carson.
Little debut
this or that. Carson, why don't you start us off with your Hook'em Picks of the Week? And we're going to reiterate, we're not Texas fans, but always hook 'em.
Yeah, not Texas fans. Hook 'em, baby.
We just hook 'em.
Yeah, this week I've got 3 things that I'm picking. I've got the Bucks and the Jazz, Friday, 9 p.m. One quick note about the Bucks: they're only 3-5 against teams over 500, and the Jazz right now have the best record in the league. They're 10-3 against the West, and the Bucks are only 4-4 against the West, and I think it keeps going. I don't think the Bucks really have an answer for all that the Jazz have at all 3 levels of the offense. They've got Gobert down low, dunking on guys and sending back shots. You got Donovan Mitchell scoring at will. I'm saying hook 'em Jazz on Friday, right, boys?
Hook 'em.
Yes, sir. Hook 'em.
Hey, hook 'em Jazz. We
hook
got
'em Jazz. Hook 'em Mitt
night.
Romney.
Yeah, hook 'em Mitt Romney over in Utah. We got a big fight night. The UFC's over there close to Utah somewhere. We got a big fight night. Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. Burns has earned his spotlight. He's earned to come into the spotlight and have this title defense against Usman. I know some of the guys like Masvidal have earned the spotlight from big wins, but Burns has won 8 out of his past 9. He's been there. He's done it. He's fought guys, and he's beat them up, and he's a winner. But I just think Usman's a heavy favorite at minus 280 for a reason. He's just better in every way, and he's just going to beat up on him. So I'm saying hook 'em Usman on Saturday.
Hook 'em Usman.
Hook 'em. And then Monday, we've got a big ACC battle. I'm calling it a battle. We'll see how it goes. It'll be in the 40s probably. Virginia at Florida State. Florida State is currently still on pause. They haven't played since January 30th, but they'll have a game against Wake Forest on Saturday. To tune up a little bit, Wake Forest is as lowly as ever. So, hopefully they'll go in. They'll get their struggles out in the first half, go in tied against Wake, and then come out in the second half and blow them out. And they'll see a good game against Virginia on Monday. I think Virginia's defense gets all its credit for a reason. They're the better team. They're going to play stronger defense, and they've got big guys down low in Jay Huff and Sam Hauser that are just going to dominate. So no matter how efficient Florida State can be, I just don't think it's enough. So we're saying hook 'em Virginia.
Hook 'em Cavs, baby. Hook 'em Jay Huff.
Hook 'em
Kihei Clark. I don't like his hair, but hook 'em.
Hook 'em Kihei Clark. Hate the hair, but hook 'em.
All right. Thanks for your Hook 'em Picks of the Week, Carson. We enjoy that segment a lot. But guys, top 3 childhood cartoons. Carson, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start us off. I consider childhood cartoons to be anything I watched pretty much before 14 or so. So with my number 3 spot, I'm going to put something that I probably shouldn't have been watching, but, South Park deserves its credit. It's hilarious. It deserves its credit. It's as good as it can be, and it's still delivering. I just put it at number 3 because it is a little bit more adult. It's not necessarily childhood, and it's not nearly. It was better. It is getting to the point where I think they figured it out how to do this one season is a story thing. But South Park's my number 3. My number 2, I'm going Avatar: The Last Airbender. I didn't even watch it until last year, but it is now my favorite show. I'm already on my 3rd watch through of it, and I'm obsessed. And it's a solid number 2. And then number 1, I'm going with Scooby-Doo. Everybody in the world knows I'm the biggest Scooby-Doo fanatic. Got every movie, every show, every episode. Watch it all the time. Love it to death. And that's my top 3.
You still don't like the live action though.
Hate the
No,
live
it's
action.
awful. It's awful.
Well, I'll do my top 3 childhood cartoons from number 3 to number 1 as well. Number 3, we got Phineas and Ferb. I loved the concept of it when I was little. I loved building things, adventuring, and so that show is right up my alley. I loved it. Number 2, Carson, I'm really disappointed in you because I don't think any top 3 cartoons from our childhood list is complete without this show. SpongeBob. I mean, do I even have to explain it? Integral part of every kid's life our age. I'm 21. If you don't know Sweet Victory, then please leave. Goofy Goober Rock, please leave. But yes, SpongeBob. And number 1, this is probably something unique, but I'm a nerd, so this has been my favorite thing since I was out of the womb. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I think it might be the most in-depth TV show of all time. And it was a little PG, but it was on Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network's known for being a little more PG than other networks, but Star Wars: The Clone Wars, easily most engaging show, most action-packed show ever, and I love Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna show my boomerness here, being the oldest in the group. So I'm gonna go 3-1
Barely.
as well. Yeah, barely. So I'm gonna start out with the Fairly Odd Parents. I loved that show whenever I was a kid. Something about Timmy Turner was just too true and too relatable, and it's just
And
a great
designer
show.
even wrote a song about him.
Yeah, My Shiny Teeth and Me, dude. That song literally made me brush my teeth as a child. So, thank you.
Shiny teeth.
Thank you, Shiny
I'm
Teeth.
sure Crest
Shiny
and
teeth
other
and me.
toothpaste brands also love that show for that simple reason.
Hey, Hook'em Chip Skylark. Hook'em Chip
Let's
Skylark
go, baby.
officially.
Congratulations, Chip Skylark.
Coming in second on my list is a classic, Tom and Jerry. One of those cartoons that's just iconic in the grand scheme of cartoons, and I don't think there's a lot of argument about that. Something about the competition between those two is just great, and it's just so comedic. And then my number 1, you can argue about it if you want, but I'm gonna say it's a cartoon because I watched it here in America, and we don't really have American anime. It's just cartoons, so it's gonna be Yu-Gi-Oh for me. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes, sir.
I would go outside to my front yard and scream at the top of my lungs as I played against myself. So now everyone knows that about me, how big of a nerd that I am. So
Yeah, a little bit. But there's no shame. There's no shame. Childhood cartoons, that is something that we are absolutely qualified to talk about. Because,
We are qualified.
There's
We were all
nothing like
children.
coming home from school and watching TV for about 3 hours, watching your favorite shows, diving into some snacks, whatever that may have been. And then into our last segment, we have the absolute debut. Congratulations
Wait,
to this
time out. Beep, beep, beep.
Beep, beep, time out.
Austin trivia.
Oh, yeah, trivia question, pre this or that. We got a quick trivia question from Austin. Wii U trivia question. Austin, what you got for us?
all right, so as you know, Super Bowl 55 just happened.
Super Bowl 55.
Final
Congratulations,
score,
Bucks.
yes. Hook'em Tom Brady, GOAT forever.
Hook 'em.
Only man to ever throw the Lombardi Trophy from boat to boat, I'm convinced. So, final score 31-9, 22-point differential. Only one other Super Bowl in 55 Super Bowls has been, 54 other Super Bowls has been decided by exactly that number. What Super Bowl was it?
This is the hardest question of all time.
It's got to be the hardest question of my entire life. and I can't even give a number because I don't know all the numbers of all the Super Bowls or even the years. But I'm gonna make a conservative guess, and I'm gonna say it was the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl over. The Cowboys would have probably beat the Steelers. Might as well play it safe.
Bryce,
What was the final? What was the margin of victory?
22. 22 points.
I don't know the margin of victory of this game, but I think it was the highest scoring Super Bowl ever. But Chargers versus 49ers.
Both good guesses, but both wrong.
Gosh.
The only other Super Bowl decided by 22 points was Super Bowl 19, which was San Francisco against Miami in January of 1985. So this was
Well,
Dan
I got
Marino.
half of it right, you guys. Like Austin did the Super Bowl score.
True. This was Dan Marino and against Joe Montana, and Don Shula versus Bill Walsh. So some iconic Hall of Fame names there. And what drew my attention to this game was that it's also one of the other Super Bowls to be played in one of the team's markets. Now, of course, this was the first Super Bowl played at a home stadium, but Super Bowl 19, San Fran was one of the teams, and the game was played on the campus of Stanford University, so only 30 minutes from San Francisco Stadium, and San Francisco did win 38-16 over Miami. And
Home field advantage.
Dan Marino and Joe Montana both put up huge games. I believe they were both on the plus side of 300 yards. And Joe Montana obviously ends up winning the game, being the MVP, and adding another ring. So, and one fun fact, Ronald Reagan flipped the coin from the White House because this game was on Inauguration Day. So he flipped the coin on his Inauguration Day for his second term from the White House. So.
Wow, and that dates it a little bit. That dates
It
that
does.
game a little bit, but hey, congratulations to the 49ers for not only being the answer to our trivia question, which is probably the better award here given out, but also for winning that Super Bowl. Hey, congratulations, 49ers.
Congratulations, 49ers. Carson, now it's time.
Yeah, now it's time. I'm just getting all mixed up. I'm not sure what we're doing next, if we're doing this or that or this or that. So we're gonna get into this or that. And
This or that.
for the debut, we've got an absolute ringer of a question. I just want quick little answers. I want you to give me a good argument. Each of you take one side of this argument. I've got, what would you rather have, this or that? Trevor Lawrence, or what that pick right now would probably be worth 4 first-round picks. What would you rather have, guys?
Bryce, you take the winning side of this argument.
If I'm the Jags, I take T-Law all day long. He's going to be an anchor of that team. He's going to be a stud. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. And on the other side, taking 4 first-rounders, that's uncharted waters for the NFL. It depends what team you get them from, of course. So if you get them from a team that's going to be absolutely terrible with Trevor Lawrence, then maybe it ends
Not
up
possible.
being worth it. Yeah, exactly. It's probably not going to happen. And I have my concerns about what the NFL is going to look like with COVID and people not being able to play at the high school and college level a whole lot. So the quality of the drafts for the next few years might be kind of depleted. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's a conversation for a reason. I know you go get your guy, T-Law, you think he's going to be the quarterback for the future, then go get him. But it's hard to turn down 4 first-round picks or even more. We don't even know what sort of offers they're getting. We just know that 4 first is something similar to what would be worth not only the first overall pick, but one with a prospect like Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, that was definitely a really good debut for this or that. I know we're looking forward to not only having that, but having some different segments at the end of the show. But that is what it is. End of the show. We had a really good week in sports, really good episode 1, really good interview with Jared, the Mountain Vanderaa. And we're looking forward to next week.
And remember, we're unqualified.
We could not be any less qualified.
And thank you for Jared for being qualified. Gives us a little credibility.
Thank you, Jared, for being qualified, being 1 out of 4 of us. to be qualified in that interview. And hey, congratulations to him for being qualified and for fighting next Saturday. So
Next Saturday, the
Hook 'em-
20th.
Hook 'em
And
Jared.
and remember, if you're an unqualified fan, tell someone else. Make them become an unqualified fan too. We really appreciate the support, and we'd really appreciate, since this is probably going to be most of our close friends listening to the first few episodes. In the words of Pat McAfee, be a friend, tell a friend. Thank y'all so much. We'll see you next Friday.